start first. The service providers are saying, there is no customer demand, so I'm not going to put the money into this. And application writers are saying, oh, I better polish this code for IPv4 and put some extra features in that rather than port it to IPv6, because who is going to see that anyway? And the end users, well, they don't care, and they cannot ask for IPv6 because they don't know what it is, and they shouldn't care. So as Marko was saying, sometimes they do, and I know that you are this kind of end user that can push the adoption of IPv6. So if you are an Access for All customer, then maybe you'll be getting a T-shirt like this when you go to IPv6. You have to make 500 T-shirts. I got this one. So this can be like a reason why should you ask for IPv6. Also, when you're buying equipment for your home or for your organization or for your business, for your company, try to buy equipment or try to demand from the vendor to make equipment that is capable of also running IPv6. The other thing, what we hear often, is that geeks like us would want to do IPv6, but how to persuade the management? Well, it is a problem. And we, at the NCC, we have a training course, and the material for the training course is available online. So in there are some tips on how to persuade the management. So what I want to ask from you is to go back home and ask from your provider and your vendor and in the office, like, hey, when are we going to start using IPv6? Because this is going to then bring us to the tipping point when there will be actual demand for it. So you can experiment with it, you can play around with it. If you work for an LIR, you should know that it is very easy to get IPv6 addresses from the regional registry. It is for free, or almost for free. It is part of the fee that LIRs are paying to the regional registry anyway. If you are a customer of an ISP, you should push them and tell them it's really easy, try it out. You can get also independent addresses, as I said. So who can you ask? Well, there are already a lot of providers that received IPv6 space from the regional registry. However, not all of them actually have it for their customers. So these are the numbers from the first quarter of this year. And these are only the top 12 countries. So in many other countries, there are smaller numbers of providers that also have IPv6 addresses. We did some other kind of analysis, and we were trying to see how many of these 120 providers in Holland are IPv6 ready. And that is very difficult to determine. What does it mean, IPv6 ready? So we looked into their database entries. So did they create a Route 6 object in the database? Are they visible in RIS, in our routing collector, route information collector? Do they have reverse DNS for that range that they received from us? And are those name servers that they reported to us, are they accessible over IPv6? So based on these four criteria, 1/4 of these 120 LIRs in Holland are 100% IPv6 ready. But only 3 are listed in some of the websites that list what are the IPv6 capable ISPs. So actually many more of them are kind of ready technically, but they don't want to offer it to their customers as a service. So if you decide to actually do IPv6, what is important is to start from the outside. So make your web services visible over IPv6 so that people think, wow, they are ready, but although your network is actually not ready, and let alone your customers. So make your DNS and mail servers and web servers visible over IPv6. You have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. In the previous slide, you had an aggregate view. Do you also have lists showing exactly who's in the red zone? Those who've really implemented? I know it can be politically problematical, but
no, it's actually a good question. But I didn't explain what this means. These are just the new ones. So these were just the new ones that got it this year. But
you mentioned a quarter are really IP ready. How do we know? If we go to our providers, they're just going to tell us, yeah, of course, no problem. Not just yet, but sure, we can do it.
Would you like to see that?
Yes.
Because we could show the information, which is actually publicly available. Anyone can look into the RIPE database, into the RIS, and everywhere to collect that information. But it is a little bit tricky. Should we promote these providers? And
yes.
then, yes?
Yes?
Okay, that's a good one. I hope this video will be available soon so that I can show it to my bosses. Thank you. Okay, so the question was if we want the feedback of the providers that do not provide services and what are their reasons. Yeah, that would be interesting. There is my email address later on at the last slide. And we can also send you the material that you can send to the provider and say, okay, look, it's not that difficult. These are the steps, do this, here is the educational material, and so on. So if you can't get native IPv6 from your provider and you still want to test it and you still want to experiment, there are tunneling mechanisms that are supposed to be used for the transition. So these are the tunnel brokers, and just go there and see what are their conditions. The regional internet registries are trying to educate the general public and our members. And so each one of the regional registries has some project going on, and there is a website where you can learn more. So let's start with Latin America. Oh, this is the LACNIC portal. They have it in Spanish and Portuguese and in English. In Africa, they have the virtual lab, and they also offer a lot of technical courses, and all that material is available online for free. RIPE NCC offers courses only for the LIRs, but still the material is available online, and there is a lot of information. Marco was already giving the URL of this website, so we put a lot of information on there, not only technical, not only for geeks, but also for the decision makers, for the policy makers, for the governments. Aaron's wiki site is more technical, so if you really want to see the examples of the addressing plan and how can you make it in your company, or which equipment actually supports IPv6, this is the place where there is a lot of technical information. And APNIC also has a lot of information on their icons site, so you can learn about this for free. You can learn even more if you like to watch videos or if you like e-learning. So we have e-learning site. There are videos that we have filmed with the IPv6 enthusiasts, IPv6 advocates, and they all say, it's no magic, just do it. This is how we did it. There is a guy from Google talking about how they did it. Marco will be online